From the biggest used car lot in America, Houston, Texas. It's the N Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, more car talk from the motorheads you've come to love. Later, Konrad will have This Week in Auto History. We'll get you updated on the stories making car news this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Konrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Seekin, as we always do. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this, our live show, Saturdays, 8 to 11. And we're kind of beginning that now. It's 9:30 Central Time.
Halfway through.
When are we going to start?
Somebody hit the record button, would you? Mm-hmm. I have a couple of stories that I wanted to talk about. One is the best reputation survey for auto brands in 2022.
Uh-oh.
Subaru has the best reputation among U.S. mass-market auto brands, according to the 2022 Automotive Reputation Report.
Doesn't surprise me because they have what I will call fanatic customers.
On the luxury side, Lexus earned the top spot, according to Reputation, a customer feedback company that helps businesses improve customer experience.
Again, that doesn't surprise me.
So, top 5 results for non-luxury brands. Honda is 5. They don't have any cars to sell. 4 is Nissan. 3 is Toyota. And here's a shocker. Number 2 is Mitsubishi.
Wow.
Exactly. That was my response exactly.
No comment there.
Top luxury brands, top 5. Starting at 5, Acura.
Okay.
4 is Porsche.
Okay. I guess luxury.
3, BMW. 2, Infiniti. And number 1 is Lexus.
Not a domestic car in the crowd.
Nope. Top public dealership groups.
Oh, boy.
Number 5, Group 1 Automotive. I don't know the dealerships that are Group 1.
There's the Momentum Group here in
there's a
town
bunch.
is Group 1. Group 1's pretty large, and actually Group 1 was started in Texas and Oklahoma.
Number 4 is Harry H. Miller dealerships. I don't know who that is. Number 3 is Sonic Automotive. They've got dealerships
Huge throughout town.
Number 2, not surprising, Penske Automotive Group. And number 1 is AutoNation. And let me just throw this in there, AutoNation. And I was going to do the story today, but I got sidetracked and didn't have time. All the problems that we had with a friend of mine's Jaguar, F-Pace, that I've shared with you. Mm-hmm. And I called Konrad. I said, Konrad, do you happen to know anybody at a Jaguar dealership? He says, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And so he put me in touch with a fellow at Jaguar dealership out the west side, out in Katy. And he said, okay, I want you to call this service advisor. And we'll get the problem taken care of.
In.
Yeah. And so we took the car out to West Houston Jaguar.
Mm-hmm. Katy Freeway,
out in Katy, just inside the Beltway, just inside 99, just between the Beltway and 99. Anyway, took it out there. Check engine light. There's been $6,000 worth of repair work done.
And still on.
And it's still on. He says, we'll fix it. Okay. Left it with him. Took 2 or 3 days for them to finally get to it. And they got to it. That car's ready. Come get it. Go out there on a Saturday. Go get it. They start to pull it up. And ding. Check engine light again. He says, I'm sorry.
Well, they're driving.
Happened.
They're driving.
They said, let us get you a loaner car. You drive the loaner car. We're going to figure this out. Took them a few days to figure it out. It was a wiring problem.
Probably from day one.
Probably.
Before the $6,000 was wasted on it.
Yes, it was. A wiring problem that nobody diagnosed, but they fixed it. And since then, that was 2 weeks ago, we've not had a problem with the check engine.
And they did the right thing, to jump up and diagnose and make a repair, and then it fail as they're delivering it to you.
They took ownership of someone else's problem.
Exactly.
The dealership was immaculate, and everybody that worked there was very, very nice and accommodating.
And fully certified in all the Jaguar and
That
Land Rover
garage,
stuff.
holy Toledo.
Isn't that pretty?
Tile floors,
Air
and-
conditioned.
Yeah, and all the mechanics have these ginormous toolboxes. You walk in there, and you're jealous to begin with, right? I mean, the thing is immaculate, and the service department really isn't as big as you would think it would be. Remember, I came from Richardson Chevrolet, where it was
this
massive,
is Jaguar
Ginormous,
Land
yeah.
Rover.
and this thing was spot on, and
Well,
it was
good.
really nice.
Glad
It was
they
a
took
great
care of you.
it was a great experience.
Well, maybe because they don't break down as often.
Well, part of that is the technicians. I mean, they obviously had some technicians that were really
well trained.
smart,
Yeah,
well trained,
well-trained.
and had the initiative to get in there and find the problem.
Yeah. So, end of that story. But I'm still working on getting you the rest of the story. The $6,000 that was spent, and we'll need to get together and go over that stuff that I've kind of compiled.
But your point is that AutoNation was the top
yes.
dealer group. I misspoke. Momentum is actually Sonic
Okay.
Group.
Whatever. They're
Well,
in that list.
It's important to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I've already heard.
But AutoNation.
He's already been corrected.
Yeah. A couple of friends of mine. That
Well,
work
now we
there.
know we got who's listening and who's not.
Now here's one. I don't. Have you seen the story about Kia and Hyundai?
Oh, I think
Let
you're going, I know where you're going
let me
with this.
just read this story and then we'll chat.
Okay.
15 class action lawsuits have been filed against Hyundai and Kia after online videos showed how easy it is to steal some of their vehicles, setting off a frenzy of car theft and creating a headache for the Korean automakers.
TikTok.
If anyone doubts the power of social media, consider the windstorm of legal headaches Hyundai and Kia now facing over the design of their steering columns. The two Korean brands are named in 15 class action lawsuits filed by vehicle owners in 14 states who claim cars and crossovers spanning several model years, totaling millions of vehicles, are unsafe because they can be hot-wired too easily. The suits allege the vehicles are defective because they lack an immobilizer, an anti-theft device that prevents the car from being started without a key fob. List of affected Hyundai vehicles is long. It
All of
includes
them.
certain trim levels of Accent, Elantra, Elantra GT, Sonata, Veloster, Venue, Kona, Tucson, Santa Fe, Santa Fe Sport, Santa Fe XL, and Palisade vehicles in the 2016 through 2021 model years. Vehicles with a push-button start are not impacted. This issue primarily affects models with turnkey ignitions, according to a spokesperson.
in the column.
Another spokesperson estimates that in the U.S., the total number of affected vehicles is about 10 million.
Oh, gosh.
If the cost to install an immobilizer is $500, that is a $5 billion recall. Oh, my God. That is ugly. But you know whether you have to stick the key into the ignition and turn it. If your car is one of those that I mentioned, then you run the risk of having it stolen easily
Because of a TikTok video.
because of a TikTok video that shows you how to do it. You bust open the steering column and you stick in a USB cord and boom, you can get into it. Shows you how to do it. Here's how to steal the car.
Yeah, it's like the you'd watch the old TV shows of the guy would break in the car and he'd get under the steering column and click these two wires together and drive away.
Right.
That's how simple it is to do this.
Yes.
It is truly.
In today's age, you'd think, what, are you kidding me? My 2001 Corvette has got an archaic immobilizer on it.
But it works.
But it works.
Yeah, but that's
Because
on a
you stick
Corvette.
the-
I mean-
you stick the key into the ignition, which is not on the column. It's in the dashboard, and then you turn it. And then once you turn it on, you can hear the immobilizer go click, and it loosens the steering wheel, which is the thing that went out. It was actually a recall for the Corvette, and they had to replace it. It cost me $700 because it was out of warranty. The warranty lasted for 10 years. Well, whoever had the car before me never got it fixed, and I was the one that had to suck up $700 repair.
Should have called.
Well, and I understand because the Corvette was a pricey car whenever it came out. I mean, it's not cheap now, but I didn't realize that Hyundais and Kias had those
They don't
back
have
when
the
they.
immobilizers.
Well, I know they don't, but I mean, why would you expect them to have
Well,
one?
they had immobilizers all the way back to Chevy Cavalier and Chevy Cobalt, and sometimes the immobilizer is relatively simple. The one GM used for years is what's basically a Hall effect switch. So it's this light that passes between these two sensors, and it would have to rotate over this bar, and it would see that interruption of that, and that was the immobilizer, and that would shut off the fuel system and shut off the starting system.
Correct.
So Kia saved $20 a car by not doing this, and they're going to pay dearly for it.
But did they ever do it?
Well, I don't know that.
Again, I just to me, that time frame, I wouldn't expect that to be on that car.
But there's been different types of immobilizers through the years. You remember GM had those with the little pellet
Yep, the
in
pellet,
the key,
right.
which are just a nightmare to get a new key made for.
Well, my friend Bruce had one on the Corvette that he bought.
Yeah.
He had to get one of those. I think we talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say. But expectations. I mean, if it's not there, I just wouldn't expect one. I would expect one in a car like your Corvette or newer cars. But
I think they're going to have them on all cars if they're going to get this class action lawsuit.
Right.
And I'm going to go back to my thing about class action lawsuits. The only people who get rich are the
The
attorneys.
lawyers, yeah.
Every Kia owner is going to get maybe a recall done on their vehicle and $12, and the lawyer is going to get $100 million.
Well, and they'll get a $500 fix.
No, they're not. Well, possibly, depending on the age of the vehicle, as far
Well,
as
yeah.
how far back they're going to go.
Yeah.
So does your Oldsmobile have the immobilizer?
Yes,
on
it
It
is.
is immobile.
immobile.
It is immobile. There's no doubt about it.
So, where do you think? So, of all of the EVs, pure EVs that are sold in the United States, what state do you think has the biggest chunk of them?
California.
California.
California has 38.9% of all the EVs sold in the United States. Who do you think's number two?
Wait for it. Texas.
Florida.
Okay, I'd believe that.
Texas is number three at 5.4%. Number four is the state of Washington at 4.4%. New York at 3.6%. New Jersey at 3.3%. Because you got to remember, in Washington and New Jersey,
New York and New Jersey.
No, in New Jersey, you're not allowed to fill your own car with gasoline. They don't have self-service gas stations. They're all full-service gas stations. Oh, yeah, it's been like that.
and you can't make left turns either.
Why? Why can't
Well, I
you
don't
wait?
know
Let's
about
go
making
back.
left
Let's go
turns.
back to the.
They have never, in the state of New Jersey, they have never allowed
And the
self-service
purpose
gas
is.
stations.
Well, they say it's safety.
It's New Jersey. I think
Joe
they-
Piscopo. Are you from Jersey? I'm from Jersey too.
I think it's about the venting emissions that I guess people aren't smart enough to know if it's leaking on the ground to stop pumping.
Well, you got people here that pump their gas on their cell phone, and that's wrong.
Yeah. And then Arizona is number 7 with 3%. Colorado, which kind of surprised me, was number 8 at 2.5. I thought Colorado would have been buying more EVs than
They're
that.
spending their money on something else.
And then Illinois at 2.5 and Georgia at 2.3. So by far, California is the biggest purchaser of EVs nationwide. Understandable, and now as Newsom is pushing this no internal combustion engines after
35?
2035.
Yeah.
Good luck on that.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
And then we don't have the electricity to charge your EV.
And I was somebody the other day. I was in a conversation said, "Well, solar power is going to do it." Solar power. We've been doing solar power for 40 years, and it's not even 5% of the electricity produced.
Solar power is not going
40
to produce
years.
is not going to produce the power necessary to charge
Jack.
100,000 EVs.
It won't do it now,
California's got way
but
more.
they're saying, but they're saying they're going to develop it. It's
Well, you
going
got
to
to remember
develop.
the problem with solar power is solar power goes directly and wind power goes directly on the grid. There is no storage system for it. They don't have.
If you have one at the house, you have to have a storage.
you have to
system
have a
for it.
storage system, but that is so minuscule of what it puts out.
But if you want to spend, I don't know how much there, $10,000 on a few solar panels to put on your roof, and the battery to store it into, you might be able to power your car.
And those solar panels have to be replaced after 12 to 15 years.
Make the blades of a wind turbine out of the solar panel. That's genius.
Yeah.
Very nice. Jeffrey.
Then-
no
and
wonder
then-
you
and
don't
then
have
put-
any hair on your
You know,
head.
I
And then
did-
put it
I-
on the
brains
roof
are
of your
coming
car.
through.
I did watch a show about savants. I told you that, and I think I've got those tendencies.
I think you
I
do.
think penicillin helps
The
that. doesn't
savant.
it?
And then put it on the roof of your car, and as you're driving down the road, the propeller turns.
Yeah.
It's going to regenerate the
Like a beanie.
electricity for your
Like a
vehicle.
beanie on your
That
head.
way
And
too, with the blades
Get
kill
you
the
dinner.
birds, then
You
the
get dinner.
solar panels can fry them
You
That's
bet.
right.
all at one time.
Write this down. We're taking it.
You know, you
Hey, Buzz.
taking it on the
you've
road.
Call
smoked
us.
something in your life, I can tell.
7 herbs and spices.
Did you pay much attention to the release of the new Mustang?
Yes and yes. Wow, disappointing.
Very.
Were you?
Totally disappointed. The dash is okay. I mean, it's okay.
I only saw
The
exterior.
Mustang people are not happy.
No, hell no. I wouldn't be happy either. It looks like the old one.
Well,
Exactly.
and there's a reason for that. Is the previous generation
Previous.
Mustang since 2014 is called the S550 chassis. The new Mustang they just announced is the S650 chassis. It's almost the same.
I was just going to say it's the same thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I read.
It is. Yeah, there's not a
It is
big, huge
disappointing.
difference in it.
You know, there's a feature that we do once a week on this program, and Conrad manages to put this together for us, and
Oh,
I
boy.
truly enjoy it myself.
I do too.
Some good
it's
stuff
called
today.
This Week in Auto History on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
So in 1932, to promote the Pierce Arrow 12-cylinder engine, Ab Jenkins pitched a wild idea.
Ab?
Ab, A-B. Maybe it's Abe. He would drive one for 24 hours straight without ever leaving the driver's seat. Now, I'm not really, I know I couldn't do that. I got to stop about every 40 minutes.
Depends on if there's a hole in the floor.
So for 24 hours, and he would never get out of the driver's seat. He had a 10-mile circular track created out at the Bonneville Salt Flats.
I think that's where the idea of the Saturday Night Live's actual Saturday Night Live little thing that they did, the skit called "Oops, I Crapped My Pants." Did you see that one?
No.
Oh, that's a good
I'm
one.
sure I have.
There was a diaper involved in that.
When the 24-hour
book out
run
about
came
it.
to an end this week in 1932, he had averaged 112 miles per hour, which blows my mind that he could go that fast for that long. And he covered 2,710 miles.
Hurry up! I gotta pee.
Well, I think he might have, he had to stay in the car for refueling and stuff, but he never got out to use the boys' room.
And there's the fuel tanks, the gravity fed.
Right. And then in 1955, the Ford Motor Company produced its 2 millionth V8 engine this week. The first Ford V8 that was manufactured, the flathead, was very popular in that time, but it was not the flathead that was the 2 million.
And it wasn't very reliable, from what I understand, the
No.
flathead.
No. Oh, well, the engines back then had to be rebuilt every 30,000 miles. It's not like they are today, that the reliability wasn't expected. In 1959, a no-named Plymouth was produced. The first Valiant
I knew it.
was sold. It was built at the Hamtramck, Michigan assembly plant. It was not, the name of it was not known as the Plymouth Valiant until 1961. Originally, Plymouth had planned on calling this the Falcon.
Mars, we've been to the Hamtramck plant.
Oh yeah, I've been to Hamtramck as well.
Oh, I am
But
too.
but oops, Ford used the Falcon on their compact car, so Plymouth was left without a name. So they did a company-wide survey, and they come up with the name Valiant. So all it had was Valiant on it. It never said Plymouth on it for the first year of production.
Prince Valiant.
In 1970, Jimi Hendrix' Corvette goes missing. Shortly after his death in London in 1970, his estate sold off many of his belongings to cover various expenses. The Corvette believed to be one of those items sold. To this day, people are searching for the Jimi Hendrix Corvette. If you have a Cortez, what was originally a Cortez Silver 1969 427 390 horse Corvette, you may want to do a little research. You could be riding around in a piece of rock and roll history. I thought that was a great story.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't have one, so I just thought it was a great story. In 1978, Artie Cunningham, you remember who Artie Cunningham was?
Yeah.
Remember who Artie was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Artie Cunningham, no, not from
Spit it
Happy
out.
Days. He buys a 1958 Plymouth Fury called Christine. Another one of
yes.
those movie connections. In 1979, legendary Lee Iacocca makes a comeback. After being fired from Ford, he was elected chairman of the failing Chrysler Corporation, and truly, Lee Iacocca saved Chrysler.
Single-handedly with
He
the
did.
minivan.
Right. Well, K car. He was originally the K car, and you got to remember the K car was the chassis, the platform for the minivan, but the minivan was what saved it. But yeah,
See,
and
minivans,
Lee
minivans
Iacocca
save the world. Yeah.
And Lee Iacocca went on to restore the Statue of Liberty as well. Great man.
I read his book. It was a good book.
It was.
In 2006, Ford bought the rights to the Rover name from BMW for £6 million. Ford never branded a car for Rover. They were still building cars, but it wasn't. Ford never got involved in making one. And I thought, what an odd grouping of Ford and Rover together. I'm not a huge Rover fan at any level. And then after that agreement, Ford and Jaguar and Land Rover were sold to the TaTa Motor
There you go.
There
That's what's
you
wrong
go.
with it.
So your Jaguar and your Land Rover are now owned by TaTa.
Got
Ta-ta.
some great Tatas on.
Ta-da.
That's this week in automotive history.
Thank you very much.
You write that down.
Write that down. Write that on there. Have Becky look over your shoulder. And, honey, what's this about Tatas on here?
Jaguar Tatas. I thought it was Cougar Tatas. No, that's a
No, that's
Mercury.
another one.
All right.
She's not old enough for
Did you
that.
know gorillas can't swim? Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yep.
You have some of the most unusual.
That's why he has no hair.
He's
I'm
a
telling you,
fountain of useless
his
information.
Fountain of
brain,
use.
his
Fountain of
brain is
useless.
poking through his scalp, and he has no hair.
And Buckingham Palace used to be a brothel.
No, it wasn't.
I read it in a book.
Yeah, I read it. I read it on the internet.
No.
Buckingham Palace.
got a
If it's
book
on the
right
internet, it's got to be true.
Rental car company Hertz Global Holdings
I
plans
heard
to
this.
order up to 175,000 GM electric vehicles over the next 5 years. The latest move by the rent car firm to add zero-emission vehicles. Hertz expects to begin taking delivery of Chevy Bolt EVs and Bolt EUVs in early 2023. Hertz's current goal is for 1/4 of its fleet to be electric by the end of 2024.
And they already have a collection of Teslas.
U.S. Environmental Protection Agency will consider adopting more stringent greenhouse gas emissions rules for heavy trucks. For heavy trucks, after Congress passed new incentives to speed the adoption of zero-emission vehicles. In March, the EPA proposed new rules to cut smog-forming and greenhouse gas emissions from heavy-duty vehicles. Can I just say something about that? That ain't nothing compared to the fumes coming off of jet aircraft that have them sit and idle for hours. Some of them have a thing called a
Power
it's
unit.
a power unit that is
External power unit.
or an internal one, which is another jet engine, basically a small one. But that's what they use to power the air conditioning and the lights inside
I thought
of
it was
aircraft.
some sort of generator.
Thank goodness.
That is it. The ground power units that's what you're talking about. I'm talking about the actual jet engine. They let those things idle for days.
Really?
Out there.
And
in
do you
Hobby.
know how much anywhere? Do you know how much fuel those things burn?
A ton.
Oh my God.
Well, they measure fuel by weight on a plane.
Correct.
They don't
Yeah.
measure it by gallons.
Yes.
So, to follow up on that story, Toyota and Kenworth have proven the possibility of a fuel cell electric truck with a successful completion of their truck operations product. They compared a 2017 diesel engine, and they now have a fuel cell that will perform to the level of a 2017 diesel. So watch what you're talking about, because that fuel emissions issue is going to be more prevalent than we think.
More than a dozen automakers, including Toyota and Nissan, have signed up with a platform for patent licenses from 51 tech companies aiming to simplify access to wireless technology and avoid costly legal battles. Conflicts have stemmed in part from different views among car makers, suppliers, and tech firms over who should shoulder the cost of licensing. Avanci, A-V-A-N-C-I, Avanci, charges a flat fee of $20 per car, increased this month from $15 previously, with the monthly money distributed among patent holders. It's that whole patent thing. Well, I was there first, I should get all of the money. Well, you were there partially. It's this whole patent thing between the automakers and suppliers.
And it goes back to the 50s and 60s with intermittent wipers and the guy that got screwed out of all of that.
Yeah. The new signings, which also include Renault, Stellantis, Honda, mean 80 to 85% of cars with 2G technology or higher are licensed through the platform. The model allows car makers to avoid the battles over royalties that took place between smartphone makers such as Apple and Samsung and telecoms companies who negotiate one-on-one for licenses. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And
It's a big deal.
Big deal.
You'll never know it, but you're paying for that, and you've paid a lot more, and hopefully with this conglomeration of car makers and suppliers joining the club, as it were, it will not add more to the cost in years to
Remember a
come.
couple of weeks ago, probably about 6 weeks ago, we had the guy on from Dodge talking about this final run of vehicles, the last call models of the Challenger. Well, they've introduced the 2023 Challenger Black Ghost, paying homage to a similarly named model Challenger that ruled Woodward Avenue back in the 70s.
Very
So
nice.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, very. Time now for a quick break, but we'll be right back. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show on iHeartRadio.
Starting to work on your Christmas calendar? Be sure to add the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In Saturday, December 17th. You'll want to attend Tailpipes and Tacos Christmas Edition at the Loopy Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. It's the only place cruisers compete for Loopy's Chili Pepper trophies and other prizes. There's no charge to enter your vehicle for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, or Best Modern Classic. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest and most unique cruise-in and is your opportunity to see the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods. And get Loopy Tortilla breakfast tacos with adult beverages. There's no entry fee and cars will automatically compete for those much sought-after custom Loopy trophies and other prizes. It happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. It's the Tailpipes and Tacos Christmas Edition, Saturday, December 17th. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Celebrate the Christmas season with friends and family at Tailpipes and Tacos. Saturday morning, December 17th, 8 to 11. We'll see you then, weather permitting. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is having a car social. Saturday, October 15th, 9 to noon. It's a cruise-in like no other. Expect Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Corvettes, and Shelby Mustangs. Get social at this first ever event. You'll also see Gulf Coast Auto Shield's private workshop. Questions are welcomed. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is easy to get to at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway near West Airport Boulevard, just south of the Southwest Freeway. Car Social takes place Saturday, October 15th, 9 to noon. Tell your friends, bring your car, and enjoy this rare opportunity to see Houston's finest rides. You'll also learn about nano-ceramic coatings, ExoShield for your windshield, and XPEL window tint, among others. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Join us for Car Social at Gulf Coast Auto Shield Saturday, October 15th, 9 to noon at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway. Visit gcautoshield.com to see the show flyer and all the details. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is now part of the iHeart family. Now you'll have access to 24/7 Car Talk anytime you need a fix. Just download the iHeart Radio app and ask for In Wheel Time Car Talk, and there we are. Be sure to save us in your iHeart library for instant access. No matter where you are, you have the best Car Talk Show right on your PC, laptop, or mobile device and never have to worry about finding us again. Of course, you can always get access to our video and audio streams via InWheelTime.com and your favorite podcast channel, and all of this is free to you. From the iHeart Radio app, you'll not only hear our Saturday morning live show, but the best shows of the past, updated weekly. Never miss a minute of up-to-date new car reviews, pre-owned reviews, Conrad's Car Clinic, informative interviews, automotive news, and the most fun car talk show on the planet. Just download the iHeart Radio app, search for In Real Time Car Talk, save it to your library, and with a tap of the icon, you'll be in touch with your favorite Car Talk team. In Real Time Car Talk, streaming now on iHeart.com/In Real Time Car Talk.